This is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Ivana Trump? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of Ivana Trump, then move to my analysis. Ivana Trump was born in Czechoslovakia on February 20, 1949. Her father was an electrical engineer and her mother a telephone operator. At the age of 4, Ivana started skiing with her father's encouragement and eventually became quite good at it, even joining a junior national ski team. After traveling to the West on the ski team, Ivana became fascinated with luxuries like sports cars, fashionable clothing, and chocolate. She wanted to leave Czechoslovakia. However, she was concerned that she would lose the ability to re-enter the country and see her parents. Ivana came up with a plan to get around this problem. She married an Austrian ski instructor for the sole purpose of obtaining Austrian citizenship. In 1972, Ivana was able to get an Austrian passport. This same year, she earned a master's degree in physical education. In 1973, Ivana divorced the ski instructor, and her boyfriend at the time died in a motor vehicle collision. She moved to Montreal, Canada, to be with a new boyfriend who owned a ski shop. She took college courses to improve her English, and she worked as a ski instructor and a model. In 1976, while Ivana was in New York City as part of her modeling job, she met a man named Donald Trump, a wealthy real estate developer who would someday become the President of the United States. The couple married in 1977 and would go on to have 3 children, Donald, Ivanka, and Eric. Ivana became a senior executive at the Trump Organization. She had titles like CEO of the Trump Castle Hotel and Casino and Executive Vice President for Interior Design. Ivana made another contribution to Donald Trump's legacy through her trouble with English. During an interview, she referred to her husband as the Donald. The media picked up on this name as it seemed consistent with Donald Trump's sense of grandiosity. Ivana and Donald were popular and wealthy socialites who were frequently featured in the media. To some, they were considered the ultimate power couple. Although specifically looking at Donald, perhaps power-hungry would be more accurate. Either way, the beginning of the end of their legacy arrived as a Christmas present in 1989 when the couple was in Aspen, Colorado. Donald apparently thought it would be a good idea to invite his mistress, Marla Maples. The only problem was that Marla made the unusual decision to confront Ivana in public. This led to a dispute between Ivana and Donald. The acrimonious battle which followed would reach epic proportions and be the source of continual drama until the couple's divorce was finalized in 1992. Ivana walked away with a $10 million check, another $4 million guaranteed within 2 years, a $15 million mansion in Connecticut, a 1987 Mercedes 560 SL, and $350,000 a year in alimony. In addition, she no longer had to be married to Donald Trump, which has to be worth at least another $10 or $15 million. Ivana ended up selling the Connecticut mansion. She lived in a townhouse on East 64th Street in Manhattan that she purchased for $2.5 million. Ivana married an Italian businessman in 1995. That marriage failed quickly. In 1997, Ivana started dating an Italian aristocrat. Prior to his death in 2005, Ivana started seeing an Italian actor named Rossano Rubaconde. They married in 2008 when Ivana was 59 and Rossano was 36. About 400 guests attended their $3 million wedding, which was held at the Mar-a-Lago Resort and hosted by Donald Trump. This is long before FBI agents wandered through the resort. Not long after being married, Ivana's new husband found a mistress. Less than a year later, the couple divorced, but they did not cease contact. Their relationship was on again, off again until 2019. Rossano died from melanoma in 2021. Over the course of several years, Ivana had accumulated a number of injuries. She was involved in collision skiing during her younger years, and later she injured her hip in a fall after tripping on a purse strap in a restaurant. In addition to the effects these injuries had on her ability to walk, Ivana was fairly liberal with alcohol consumption. At one point, she even went to a rehabilitation facility. Her family and friends urged Ivana to sell the townhouse and live in a hotel. Her children even bought her an emergency alert device, but she refused to wear it. On July 14, 2022, 73-year-old Ivana Trump was navigating the stairs in her townhouse in Manhattan when she fell and died as a result of blunt impact injuries to her torso. Her body was discovered the next day by her housekeeper. She was buried in one of Donald Trump's private golf courses in New Jersey. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few items that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. After divorcing Donald Trump, Ivana achieved some success through a series of businesses related to jewelry, perfume, bath products, clothing, bottled water, and real estate development. She even owned part of a newspaper and published her own magazine. She appeared to be very sensitive when people implied that her money came from Donald Trump. She once said that she earned in 1 year 3 times what she was paid in the divorce settlement. I'd be very surprised if this was true, but Ivana was pretty good at selling products, and she made quite a bit of money from her real estate holdings. Item number 2, Ivana became an advocate for wives who were rejected by their husbands, especially cases involving wealthy husbands who would later go on to marry younger women. Ivana even had a cameo role in the 1996 movie The First Wives Club, during which she recited her famous line, "Don't get mad, get everything." She wrote several books about her life after divorce, and one book in 2017 about raising her children. This book represented one of her few financial failures. Nobody wanted to hear about her children in 2017, just like they don't want to hear about them now. Item number 3. After Donald Trump became president, Ivana had a bit of a public image dilemma. She stayed out of the campaign and didn't go out of her way to associate with Donald. This meant that people who liked Donald Trump did not extend that feeling to Ivana. She never really obtained credit for being part of Donald's life. People who didn't like Donald Trump, however, still connected Ivana to him and blamed her for enabling him. Ivana reported that people frequently made unkind statements to her in reference to Donald Trump being president. She would tell people, "I'm not even married to him anymore. It's not my fault." I think that Ivana had a strange way of relating to her history with Donald. In one sense, she was happy about all the money and recognition, but in another way, she was upset that he rejected her. I think she wanted to take credit for ways in which Donald was considered good or helpful, like when she made a comment about being the real First Lady, but she also wanted to distance herself from his controversies. Ivana considered herself to be conservative and agreed with many of Donald Trump's policies, but she didn't necessarily believe that he was a good representative of conservative values, a sentiment which has become quite popular. Ivana Trump was ahead of her time. After Donald Trump was defeated in the 2020 presidential election, Ivana said that he should declare that he lost. He did not take her advice. Ivana was willing to accept what Donald never will. Item number 4. One might think that Ivana's romantic relationship with Donald Trump was the most important one in her life, but one could argue that, as far as an emotional connection, she was much more attached to Rossano. Again, he was her last husband, who was 23 years younger. People described him as a self-centered con artist who was only trying to get Ivana's money. Every time he would get in trouble financially, he would be right back on her doorstep. He came up with all kinds of wild business ideas. For example, one time he wanted Ivana's money to start some type of mobile restaurant business. He wanted to put a pizza oven in a fire truck. Ivana told him that she would pay for this idea, but only if he stopped smoking. He never did. I can picture him saying, "But if I stop smoking, why do I need a fire truck?" When I first heard this idea, I thought he meant sending a fire truck to a fire and then serving pizza when the fire was put out. So like a working fire truck that happens to have a pizza oven in it. The purpose of this strategy would be to make the tragedy of the fire be a little less traumatic. Like when people were thinking about how they lost all their possessions in a house fire, they would say, those were tough times, but that pizza was great. Ivana's relationship with Rosanna perplexed her friends. They did not understand the connection. It appears as though Ivana was highly competitive with other women and very interested in sex with young men. She would frequently entertain guests with jokes which were not appropriate for all ages. I think maybe in her mind, being with a younger lover helped her to stay young and prove to her competitors that she remained desirable to men. When Rosanna died, Ivana was depressed. Around the same time, the COVID pandemic was raging. Ivana was never the same after the pandemic. She was terrified of getting COVID and mostly stayed indoors. Her level of physical activity decreased, and her friends said that she was noticeably frail when she emerged after the pandemic. Moving to item number 5, Ivana Trump was married to Donald Trump from 1977 to 1992, but she was only with him for 13 years because they separated in 1990. This is still a lot of exposure to somebody with fairly pronounced narcissistic traits. Some people wonder what it was like and how she survived. There are those who believe that Ivana was probably a little narcissistic herself. If this is true, it would have created an interesting dynamic in the marriage, like two people who think very highly of themselves and only think highly of their partner to the extent that it reflects well on them. For example, Donald Trump bragged to people about Ivana's physical abilities and appearance. He said that she was a member of Czechoslovakia's Olympic ski team, which was not true, and he said that she was once a top model in Canada. This was also a false statement. When somebody is highly narcissistic, they can extend their shield of narcissism over other people. I think this is what Donald did for Ivana. There's certainly no shortage of narcissism with Donald. He had enough for everybody. When Donald had an affair, it caused a war between him and Ivana. Eventually, after some accusations of terrible behavior, the two became friends again. This was important to Donald because framing Ivana as a good person reflected well on him. It made him look like someone who made a good decision by marrying her. In his mind, every decision was the best decision anyone could ever make in the world. Now moving to item number 6. When two people with narcissistic characteristics are married to each other, they teach each other bad habits. I think this may partially explain Ivana's death. Here's what I mean. One thing that's clear about Donald Trump is that he cannot admit defeat. When referring to Donald, Ivana once said, quote, "He hates to be a loser, that I'm sure of," unquote. He simply could not admit that he was defeated in the 2020 presidential election. He'll never face the truth. In one sense, Ivana either had or adopted this attitude to a lesser degree. When considering her state of mind and her physical condition in the months leading up to her death, including the hip injury, it appears that navigating the staircase in her home was simply too difficult. She had a degree in physical education and had been an athlete. She should have recognized the risk. This danger could have been easily remedied by any number of solutions, like moving, installing an elevator or a chairlift, hiring somebody to assist her with the steps, avoiding the steps. Ivana had enough money to protect herself from a killer staircase. The problem for Ivana is that she did not want to admit defeat. Ivana always held on to an image of being young, vibrant, and independent. She would not accept any type of reduction in functioning or in image. She was not going to let a set of stairs reduce her standing. In this way, Ivana's exposure to narcissism may have led to her downfall. Now moving to my final thoughts. Ivana Trump was often judged by the public as shallow, gaudy, and ostentatious. It also didn't help her image that her life was forever tied to the behavior of Donald Trump. There is no question that Ivana had an unusual style, but it's important to remember that she was someone who survived a romantic relationship with a legendary narcissist. Ivana played her trump card to make the best of a bad situation. Those are my thoughts on the case of Ivana Trump. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be as intriguing as a fire truck that quenches flames and hunger. Thanks for watching.